Hey guys, welcome back to Just Fixing Garage. I'm Justin, and today we're working on a 1998 Ford Ranger with a 3-liter. Ultimately, we're going to be changing the AC compressor today, and I'm going to show you how to do that. You will need a couple specialty tools like the vacuum pump and the AC manifold gauges and such. This is something you can pick up at Harbor Freight or Amazon for probably under 200 bucks. So you're still going to save yourself in the long run if you do it yourself versus a shop. And I think it'd be really good. So if this is something that's going to help you or you like the video, be sure to like, subscribe. It really helps me out a lot. I think I only have like 300 subs right now, which is not terrible. I mean, I don't do this for a living and it's just kind of my hobby. So we're going to get into this job, and if there's any questions or concerns, please leave in the comments below and I'll try to help you out. So let's dive in. Okay guys, so we're getting a look under the hood here. So if you can actually see down there, that compressor doesn't look very old because it's not. I mean, it is 4 or 5 years old right now, but it's not too old. I ended up replacing this connector, and I have to really jiggle this terminal, which feels really loose here, to get it to work, and that's why we're changing it. But anyway, step one when you're working on this is you need to take a look at your pressures and make sure that you are empty or near empty, because you do not want to, have this sitting at like 50 psi and find out that you've got an issue. I'm seeing some residual pressure in here from this, but not have to worry about it. Probably, where's my thing at? Yeah, it goes right down to 0. So I don't know if that's actually true, or just a little bit of pressure in there. But if you have this at 50 or 60, you're likely your state laws are going to say you need to get this evacuated somewhere. You're not supposed to release it into the air, even though 90% of cars are probably leaking it. Regardless, make sure you discharge, legally, lawfully, whatever you have to in your local area, like we do here. And then you can work on this. Hopefully the shop that maybe diagnosed your issue can just evacuate it for you when you take it home to do it yourself. Either way, make sure you're good to go here and you're not full on pressure. All right, so after that's established and you know you're good, first thing you're going to need to do on this car is you're going to want to take this off. This is going to give you a little bit more visibility here. It doesn't really be required, but I think it's just one 8 or 10 millimeter nut. So I'm going to get this out of my way, and then we'll be able to get hopefully access to all the bolts down there. And we're going to have to also relieve our tensioner, which I will locate in just a minute. But either way, this is the next step. Okay, so took this off. There's 2 8mm bolts, one here and one in the back. Again, it just gives you a little more access to see these other bolts here that you're going to need to take off. See, one bolt in there, and then there's one right there. So just get that out of your way, because ultimately we're going to have to take out these 4 bolts here. We got 1, 2, 3, 4 to get this done. The next step now, however, and I guess you could do this whenever, is I'm going to unplug mine. You're going to see that it clips from the bottom. I've actually got a brand new plug on here because I was trying to rule that out. So I'll take that off. But then I need to look at the tensioner, which, to be honest, on this vehicle, I can't remember how it's tensioned. So let me take a look. It's probably got a belt diagram somewhere here. Yep, so that shows our tensioner is going to be a little bit left and down here. Where is that in relation to the pump? Okay, I can see it. I'll get my flashlight so you guys can see it better, and then I'll tell you what size fits on there. But that should be easy to get the belt off. Let me grab that next. Hey guys, so getting the tensioner off, getting the tensioner taken care of was not too bad. There is a 15mm bolt that sticks out that you're going to have to grab a hold of, and I don't know how well you can see it down there, but you're going to need to turn that to the right, so tighten it and then you'll be able to get the belt off. I tried to use it with a socket and a ratchet, but it was too close to the fan, so I ultimately used a wrench. If you have those low profile tools, they probably work a little better, but otherwise that belt is off. I can take my ratchet or my ratchet wrench, move it out of my way. Maybe then you can see that little stud hanging out there a little better. And you can see it on the diagram here, where it's at and what to get a hold of. But 15mm is what you're going to want to use. And now that that's done, I'll make sure I get my plug out and I'll start taking out all these bolts, which should then give me access to the back to take out the hoses. So let's move on. All right, guys, so I got all the bolts out, 1, 2, 3, and 4. The only thing I'll note is there was one bolt that was a different size and it went to the top right. It's easy to see because it's the most rusted head one. I don't know why that one's a little shorter, but it is. I've got that all out. Now what I should be able to do is pull this away some, hopefully, so I can get to the line bolts. We'll have to see how that's gonna work out. I don't think there's anything else holding me in, but I'm gonna have to look. So let me play around with this a bit. I'll follow up with you and let you know what's next. Alrighty, guys, so I thought I was going to be able to lift the compressor up a little easier to get it out. Unfortunately, it looks like I kind of have to work the line off first. This is a cover to that line. I was just trying to get a better idea. But if you look to the back, I'm not sure if I'll be able to capture it. I have my ratchet wrench on a bolt that sticks out. It's a 10 millimeter. That's where this line is going to. You can actually see it's kind of loose now. So I'm going to break that loose and then see if I can pull this out. But a good ratchet wrench in there. There was a little bit of residual pressure still in mine, and talking very little, like it made a little noise when it came off. But I'm gonna work this out now, get this line off and see if we can pull it up. All right, guys, welcome back again. That was a little bit of a struggle. You may have seen me struggle with it a bit. I think there's actually a clip I can take off on the hose to get more clearance, but I pulled this up, got the compressor out with a little bit of fighting. Again, there's only one bolt in the back for the line that you're able to get to. You can see I got a bunch of oil coming out. We'll put new oil in the compressor, but so 4 bolts that are 13 millimeter, 1 bolt that's 10 millimeter for the hose line, and just make sure you're discharged pretty well. So far we've used also a 15 on the tensioner, which now you can see right here goes on there. And we're gonna go swap out this compressor. Again, this compressor is not very old. The problem I'm having is more with this terminal than it is anything else. Something is wrong inside of this plug. I'm sending 12 volts directly to it, and unless I jiggle it, it doesn't actually engage the clutch. So something's up there. I'm not gonna rebuild this. It's gonna cost me more money than it's worth. When I bought this, it has a lifetime warranty, but you do have to validate that, hey, you bought your evaporator when you did it, as well as your orifice tube. Which if you look here, this I replaced at the same time, and then the tube also is part of the system as well. So I had done that. I had to prove my receipts. I gotta say, finding receipts from 3 or 4 years ago was a challenge, but I did find it. So I'm gonna go ahead to Advance Auto where we bought this originally with my receipts, and have them swap me out so I can get another one, bring it in here, pull the vacuum, charge it, and send it out. This guy's gonna sell this soon, but it's easier to sell one with working AC, especially when you've got a lifetime guaranteed part. So let me get this done and we'll come back with a new one. All right, guys, we are back. Kevin's here. I got my friend Brad here as well. And then we got Matt still. So we got the new compressor. Advance Auto swapped it out. They did say it's a one-time deal for these types of warranties, which, you know what, whatever. This thing was almost 4 years old. We've got it set back in here. And before we go too crazy, I am gonna line this up in the back and get that bolt back on for the line. It's a little tricky to get on there, but you'll have that lined up. Make sure you've oiled the O-rings as well. So before we tighten this down, I'll get that on. Remember, it's 10 millimeter bolt. The new one was a 10 millimeter. Here's the bolt that's actually gonna go through. That will get started and going. So I'm gonna get that going, and then we'll tighten up all those 4 bolts, put our belt back on, plug it in, put our cover back on, and hopefully have this thing working. So I'll keep it filming. You can follow along, but just know that the next part's getting the line on that we'll have to play with back there. Getting these 4 bolts tight, tensioner, plug, cap. Let's do it. All right, guys, Kevin has been getting to work. We've got our line back on and tight. We got that 10mm tight back there. You don't have to replace O-rings on this because they're built onto the AC compressor, so they're already new. Just make sure they're a little wet with the oil. We've got our 4 bolts back in. Keep in mind this top right one is the shorter one. Everything's tight. We're not going, you know, ugga-dugga on it by any means. The last thing we got to do now is the belt. You've got the belt diagram in the front that you can look at. I'm going to get a wrench back on there, the 15mm we talked about before, and then you guys will be able to watch put the belt back on, but you know, it's not too bad. And then after that, all I gotta do is plug it in, put our cap back on. I'm gonna move it out of the bay, vacuum it, and then recharge it. That takes like an hour to vacuum and hold the pressure. So let me get that going, and then we'll check in. All right, so we got the belt back on. Again, it's 15mm stud. It's better if you have somebody help you, not stud, a bolt. Take that, turn it to the right as if you're tightening it, all the way down, and get your belt back on. If you don't know, I mean, you should have a diagram right in the front that tells you. Obviously, we have an AC compressor. So, next thing for me is I'm gonna plug this thing back in. That was a nice solid connection. I like that, hopefully it works. I'm gonna put this piece back on with the 2, I think it was 8mm bolts. Cover that up. It's just a throttle cable. Technically, you don't have to put it on, but you should. And then I'm going to actually move this car and pull a vacuum on it with our vacuum pump out of the way, so I can look at another car in the bay. So anyway, so let's get that back on. Should just sit like so. And again, yours might be broken already. Who knows? Do you see the bolts?
Right here.
Oh, no. Because they're pretty rusty. Hey guys, when the battery dies and I have to swap it out, you see I hooked up all my gauges. I got high side, low side. I go into my gauge set, have them opened up. See, it's slowly dropping down. I'll have to make sure that I don't have any leaks going on there, and then it's hooked up to my pump here, which is going to suck everything out. So I'm going to watch this, make sure it gets all the way down to probably around -28, -30, close to -30. Never actually gets there, but it's slowly getting there now. I'll close the valves after like 30 minutes, make sure it holds. If it does, then I'll recharge it. So just let this sit for like 30 minutes. If you don't have this tool, go to Harbor Freight and get one, but that's probably one of the most expensive things. So, all right, we'll be back.
100%.
All right, guys. So I let this sit for a while. It stayed at around 26 after it ran, and I turned it off. Now I'm going to do the recharge procedure. Looking at this car, it says that it takes R134A, which we already knew that, and it needs 1 pound 14 ounces, which I actually have to run out and get more probably, but I have enough to kind of get me started, just to make sure the compressor power's on. Yeah, and that one, so that'll take me pretty close. So now I can bring this up here and get this all seated. It's supposed to be a sealing system. Let's see. All right, so go turn the car on, Kevin. Now hold this. I'm gonna turn the car on. I don't know why this one's leaking some. Turn the car on. I'll open the low side up. And make sure the AC is on high.
Ready?
Yep. The car needs to be running with the AC. You got the AC on? Alright, so you guys are going to have to watch. You won't be able to hear much. Alright, come on. It's not going to kick on, but you'll be able to come out here. So I'm going to open the low side. I'm going to watch the car take refrigerant inside of that looking glass. And hopefully the compressor will kick on soon, once it reaches a certain PSI. Hey guys, I'm not sure where I left off. I was recharging this, or starting to outside, and a big storm came in, and I ended up not working on this till the next day. So I want to come back, show you I've got the gauges going. I'm still really low. I have another can I need to add. You can see I'm only going between 30 and 40, and this hasn't built up pressure at all. It's too low. The compressor is able to kick on and off now, so that's good. It's got enough pressure to do that. So now I just need to add a little bit more, which I'm going to do now, and get this to the levels that I want to see it at, which I think today will probably be between 40 and 50 and maybe about 200 for the high side. I'll have to look at the calculations, but that's what I'm going to do now. I ended up needing almost 3 12-ounce cans, just shy of that, and I've only done about 2 so far, so that is where I'm at. So let me get that going, and hopefully when I splice it together it makes sense and you're able to follow it along and see that everything is working. So let me get that going. Guys, so looking at my readings, I'm pretty close to where I want to be. It might need a little more. I don't often recharge these things when it's pretty cold out. It's like about 60 out right now. So these get, going online, it should be between like 25 to 35 when it's running, and then this might go up to like 130 to 150. So we're pretty close. I'm happy enough with that. I don't want to do too much to it because this just has to last until summer, then we'll look at it and recharge it and everything. We're not expecting any more hot days. But from the inside of the truck, it's blowing really ice cold air. Again, it's pretty cold out already, so it's kind of unnecessary really, but it's ice cold, it's freezing my hands. So I'm pretty happy with this. Generally, if this was done in the summertime, I'd be seeing this tank sweat a little more. It is pretty cold, but it's not sweating that much. Otherwise, everything seems fine. I'm going to shut everything down, close it up, and we'll call this job done. So hopefully this helps you guys on your either Ford or Mazda, and you do it yourself, save a bunch of money. I think this AC compressor is about 200 bucks. You might be able to find a cheaper online or somewhere. Keep in mind, I try to do AutoZone or Advanced because I like the local options here. You probably got about 15 to 20 bucks in refrigerant. And, you know, if you don't have the tools, again, you might look at like 50 to 75 bucks for a gauge set, and then maybe 100 bucks for that vacuum pump. So all in all, you can be in this 400 bucks yourself or pay a shop 1,000 bucks. So maybe an hour to 2 hours of labor total if it's your first time. But really doable. So good luck, guys. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share the video around. Helps me out a lot, and I hope this helps you out. Have a good one.